It's time. Get on up. It's time. You say what's the time for? It's time for Shooter. Shooter and who? Shooter and Schoolie. It's we the Thunder. We're talking bolts. We're talking bolts. We're talking Tampa hockey. We're making sense. Oh, what's going on at the bench? I said Cooper. Whoa. Coach Cooper. What? You got the boys buzzing. He always does it. Pedro's gonna show you what he's got. Coach will get in his head, but still will rock. Jake's Mr. Consistent and Captain America. But how about these new guys picking up the slack? We're talking bolts. We're talking bolts. We're talking Tampa hockey. We're making sense. Oh, what's going on at the bench? It's time. You said what's it time for? Say what's it time for? It's time for a shooter. It's time for a shooter. Shooter and who? Shooter and who? Shooter and Schoolie. It's we the Thunder. Get on up. It's time. Get on up. It's time. You say what's the time for? It's time for Shooter. Shooter and who? Shooter and Schoolie. It's we the Thunder. We're talking bolts. We're talking bolts. We're talking Tampa hockey. We're making sense. Oh, what's going on at the bench? I said Cooper. Whoa. Coach Cooper. What? You got the boys buzzing. He always does it. Pedro's gonna show you what he's got. Coach will get in his head, but still will rock. Jake's Mr. Consistent and Captain America.
Welcome to We. Thomas, give me some sound effects. So good at that. The Thunder. My name is Rob. My friends, and you're one of them now, can call me Shooter.
Unreal.
Thank you, Cooch. To my left, maybe to your right, we've got the owner of Gulf Coast Hockey on Facebook. Oh, no.
Not a chance.
It is Thomas Schoolie.
Can you make it simpler?
Make it simpler. Make it simpler, Thomas Schoolie. The good days are over. These days are over.
Nobody can beat us.
Nobody can beat us. Guess what? They're beating us now. They are beating us now, and people are freaking out. So let's get right to it. We have a Hall of Fame level We the Thunder guest. Maybe goes toe-to-toe with Sonia Bryson Kirksey as far as appearances on this show. So let's bring him on, and he's got his own sound effect. You know him as the Lightning Insider. Eric Erlinson is here to talk all things hockey.
Spoon Man.
The Spoon Man is in the house. Eric, so much to talk about. We really haven't talked to you since the off season, and man, what I mean, every season's a roller coaster ride, but this one has been. You know, I'd put this one up there with the Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens if we're gonna go anyway. It's got its lows, it's got its highs. We might be hitting a low again. What's your thoughts right now on the Bolts season as a whole? Like, I know that's a lot to ask for in a first question, but we haven't talked to you all season. What are your thoughts so far on the story of this season?
Well, first of all, what kind of theme music is that? That was great. That intro music. I don't think you didn't have that last year, right? Last time I was on.
Oh no, we switch it up all the time now.
Oh,
it's the beauty of AI. Don't tell the kids. The kids don't like the AI. They call it slop, but we call it Thomas Schoolie can't sing, and I can't sing. So we're going AI for our intros.
Man, I felt like I was at a jazz club there for a second, just ready to kind of start moving and grooving. Yeah, it's been a good season. There's no doubt about it. Didn't start well, but you know, there is no overreaction like there is hockey overreaction, right? Like 1-4-2 start, it's not good. Don't get me wrong, it's the worst start in franchise history through 7 games, which is something I didn't think we'd ever talk about at that time. But it was 1-4-2 was the worst number, or the lowest number of points they'd ever had. But sometimes you kind of have to look at how the results are happening, right? And especially the last few games in that 1-4-2 start, like they were playing well, right? You could kind of see them kind of coming together a little bit and sort of finding their game. Um, and, with the preseason and the way that the preseason went, especially the last two games, messed up their training camp, the end of their training camp. But in a way, it turned into an organic sort of team bonding situation because it brought everybody together. I mean, you had, Declan Carlisle and Votek Stahoviak and Dylan Duke and the guys that were called up, especially for that last game at Florida, and everybody was in it. Right, everybody was in it. Scott Sabrin introduced himself to the Lightning fan base and everything else. But so it brought, I think, everybody together, but it messed up their chemistry to start. But I think you've slowly seen the benefit of that. You don't see it as much anymore, but back in the Tortorella days and even the Guy Boucher days, teams were always looking for ways to team bond. You know, in the Torts days, they went to Atlantic City a couple of times, and they had a paintball competition. And Guy Boucher, they went to Mount Tremblay in Montreal, north of Montreal, in training camp, and had these like scavenger hunt type of exercises, just to get some team building and some team bonding together. But in this case, I think the way that they were not going to take the Florida Panthers crap was brought them together, and it just took a while for that to just kind of showcase. And I think with all the injuries that they've had, certainly I think it has brought that together because you've gone about 30 deep on the roster this year, right, and counting at this point. And so you saw the down to start. They went on a 6-game winning streak, and then they lost 5 out of 7, and then obviously they went on the 21-1 stretch before hitting this little speed bump they've hit right now. This is a good team. I think they have holes. There's no doubt about it. Still trying to find a top 6 guy to play right wing, preferably with Hagel and Sorelli. We'll see what happens between now and Friday if that's something that's on Julian's list. Their depth on defense has been great, but it's been hit now, right? Because you lost Max Crozier. And now that they've gone 11-7, they're looking for internal competition, but I think it's kind of messed up the rhythm of the back end a little bit. And, that's not Ryan McDonough's fault. That's not Victor Hedman's fault. That's not Emil Lilleberg's fault. But it has sort of disrupted stuff. The break hurt them. Right, I don't think Moser and Radish have been very good together in these last 3+ games. I think Darren Radish in particular was somebody that was affected by the time off. He was in such a groove. But I think as a whole, this team is a good team. I think they're going to be a good team. They have the opportunity to, do something they haven't done in the past 3 postseasons, and that's do some damage in the playoffs as long as Andrei Vasilevsky continues to play like Andrei Vasilevsky. And we've learned a lot about the depth of this team this year that we didn't think that they had. We weren't sure that they had, but they've shown that they have a lot of depth. And I think that's the biggest sort of underlying story of where we're at to, tomorrow night's game 60 against Winnipeg.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, going into the season, I was just uneasy, unsure about, did we get better than last season and the season before? Are we still a first round exit in the playoffs? And, we figured out pretty quickly in this first couple months that, JVB found some guys for us, found some new toys, and these guys aren't bad, and they're performing. So yeah, it's been interesting to kind of see the team evolve. Who do you think of these new guys? And I'm not going to put Radish in there because Radish has been around. He left, came back. But some of the other new faces, who's impressed you the most?
Probably Charles-Edouard Destou, a guy who, has kind of toiled around. He was in the undrafted in the minor leagues in North America. His contract was up. He was playing in Utah at the time in the ECHL, and he couldn't even get an AHL contract. Like, he couldn't even land an AHL deal. So he said, no, I'm going to go over to Europe. And he played in Finland for 2 years. He played last year in Sweden. And you look at it, everywhere he's gone, he's won Defenseman of the Year. Everywhere. From junior to the ECHL to the Finnish league to the Swedish league, he's always been a top defenseman, but he never got a crack at it. And, the skating was a big thing. Obviously, if you can't skate at the NHL level, you're going to have a difficult time playing at the NHL level. So he's improved on that. But, man, his first pass out of the zone is so good. It's such an underrated part of the game. Everybody talks about puck moving defensemen. He's a puck moving defenseman. His decision making with it has kind of jumped off the page at times throughout this season. And again, this was a guy that really nobody knew anything about. I'm not even sure the Lightning knew what they had in him, right? And he came over in training camp and he looked pretty good in preseason. He goes down to Syracuse and plays a few games in Syracuse and stands out, and he gets his opportunity, and he hasn't looked back. He earned himself a second NHL contract. It's a great story, from the path that we just mentioned, never even getting a sniff of an NHL contract. Now he has a second NHL contract. The story I wrote on him when he was called up the first time, his dad passed away while he was playing over in Sweden. And at his funeral, he took his dad's ring and he promised him he was going to get to the NHL. He was going to find his way to get to the NHL. And a year later, here he is in the NHL and turned into a pretty important player at times for the Lightning. So to me, he's the guy that's kind of jumped off the page of maybe players you weren't expecting to make an impact the way he has. Pontus Holmberg, I don't think we knew how good he was in terms of the way that he can protect the puck. He's somebody you kind of have to watch on a consistent basis to see how good of a player he can be and some of the strengths that he has to his game. So to me, those are the two guys that, weren't really, well, they weren't here obviously in the organization last year, that have kind of made an impact or made an impression probably at the top of the list.
No, I believe it was Gensel that said it at one of the block party tapings. He said that this team changed when they stopped going at it after individual statistics and they started playing more as a team when this started. That you saw a lot of individuals going for themselves, and then finally they had a meeting and they said, you know what, no more individual, we're a team, and that's when it started turning around. And then one more thing, since the break returns, the one thing that also is the same factor as the beginning of the season, Victor Hedman. There's been a lot of discussion. You see it everywhere. People tweet you. I make no bones about it. I think he's horrible this year. I think he's slowed down. He reminds me of a tree.
A big tree.
Yes, a big tree. It reminds me of Zdeno Chara at the end of his career. Um, do you see any resemblance in this team now playing? I mean, you say Radish has went down since the break, but could it also be with the return of Hedman?
Put me on the spot, Schoolie. Look, there's no doubt that Victor Hedman is not playing like the Victor Hedman we're used to seeing. And whatever injury he had been bothering him all year. And I think that I don't want to say rushed the surgery, but made sure the surgery got done so that he could get back for the Olympics. It was a big thing for him, right? He missed out on 2014 for some reason. He wasn't selected to Team Sweden that year. I'm still trying to scratch my head on that one and why he wasn't part of Sweden in 2016. Obviously, the league didn't go in 18, and then COVID didn't allow it to happen in 2022. So he really, really wanted the opportunity to play in Sweden, for Sweden in the Olympics. But when I saw the first game for Sweden and I saw one of the Italian players just kind of go by him like he wasn't kind of there, that's a little concerning. And you saw as that tournament went on, he was playing 22, and then he was playing 19, and then he was playing 15, and then he didn't play. Right? He didn't play in the quarterfinal against the U.S. And if he pulled something, he pulled something. But the way that the Swedish head coach sort of handled things in the Olympics, you're like, something doesn't add up there, right? So, but I mean, Victor Hedman, you have to allow him to try and work his way through it, right? He's too big of a piece of this team to say we're done with you, right? And there's a lot of people who,
And I don't think they can. I don't think after what happened with Stamkos, they would really look egg on their face when they put
sign a
all their eggs
contract,
in the
too.
basket, signing him a year earlier to the same contract we had as an 18-year-old. They would really have egg on their face if they gave up on Victor. So I
Well,
think it's a ride the horse with this one.
Well, and he's playing third pairing minutes, really, right? Like even when he came back in December, right? He wasn't playing a lot. He wasn't the guy out there in the 6-on-5 situations. He wasn't running the second power play, right? So you could kind of see where the Lightning thought process was in trying to ease him back to try and get him back to who he is. And he hasn't been the same player this year. There's no doubt about it. But for people who want to say that the reason the defense has kind of taken a tumble here is for Victor, no. Like, first of all, Andrei Vasilevsky hasn't been very good in his past 2 starts, right? Like he was not good last night against Minnesota, and that gaff on the 3rd goal is just mind-boggling. It happens, but it's just shocking to see.
You just don't see that happen.
Yeah. So like it's a team effort. It's not a one-person thing, right? It's not a one-player thing. Victor's decision making over the past couple of years has been questionable at times. There's no doubt. He's not, if his skating isn't there, and it certainly doesn't look like it's been there this year, he hasn't made up the ground on players the way we're so used to him doing. I mean, Rick Bowness had the famous line years ago that Victor Hedman can outrace his own icing. He was such an efficient and fluid skater. And it just doesn't look that same way. So I think that's the thing that you kind of have to find a way to get back to if you're Victor. He's the captain of this team. He's an important player on this team. Maybe the goal he scored the other night against Buffalo, I think Brian Engblom said it, there was some anger in that shot. Maybe that's something that kind of gets him moving in the right direction. And, we'll see. But for anybody who wants to say you're going to scratch him, not going to happen.
Yeah, that'd be a tough call for Coop. But 16 goals in the last 3 games. I mean, defensively, just a complete 180 from what we saw before the Olympic break. And then the offense hasn't been lighting it on fire either. I mean, they had a beautiful goal last night. But, do you think it's really just this break? We had some guys skating, a lot of guys actually skating in the Olympics. We had, guys that, it's just tough to jump back into things. Do you think that's all it is? It's just a little bit of an Olympic hangover of just not playing in 2.5 weeks. And hey, maybe guys like Hagel and Gensel are tired because they did play a lot and they poured it all on the ice in Italy.
I don't know if it's tired. I don't think it's that, because at the end of the day, what they play an extra 6 or 7 games in 2.5 weeks. I mean, compared to the schedule that they just started last night was 16 and 29. That Olympic schedule is going to feel like a day in the park, right? I think there is something to the fact that you had 8 different players playing for 7 different teams, 7 different systems, 7 different sets of teammates that they had playing different roles. I mean, Zemgus Girgensons was playing 24 minutes a night for Latvia, right? So different role for certain players. I think there is something to that. And also there is a point, and we see this a lot in the NHL, teams that go on this type of a run, they hit a dog day. Like 21-1 in a 22-game stretch. And you look up and you still got like 24 games left in the season. You're like, oh. So I think it's a combination of the Olympic situation. It's a combination of being away from each other and the run that they were on and the break disrupting that rhythm. I think that happened. And, it has happened to some teams. It hasn't happened. I mean, Vegas, I don't think they've won a game since the break, right? They haven't won a game. And they had a lot of guys who participated in the Olympics as well. And a couple of guys, obviously, on Team USA, that played all the way to the gold medal game. So
Panthers.
Well, the Panthers have not been good all year.
Yeah.
Right. And
they're getting close to mathematically out of the playoff race.
They're all but done. I think them and Toronto are all but done. There's too many teams and too many points to make up in a 5-week span to even think about it. So that's why I think by the time you get to Friday, you're going to see how much of sellers there are. I mean, look, Toronto held out Ekman Larson, McMahon, and Scott Laughton for roster protection, right? So you've already seen what kind of decisions they've made. They know which way they're going come Friday, and the fact that the Panthers are talking about trading Bobrovsky tells you what their thought process is.
And signed Louis Dominguez. Out of all the guys you're going to sign, Louis gets.
The Lightning have the chance to do the funniest thing ever,
and claim him because he went down on waivers, so they can claim him.
It could happen, but they did just sign John Gillies to an AHL contract today, so I don't think it's going to happen. But it would be very, very funny for a numerous amount of reasons. But so, like, I think it's just a combination of all that. I think the biggest thing, though, is that they were on such a good run, and you could see cracks in the armor a little bit. I mean, let's face it, they got away with a stadium series game. They were down 5-1 in that game. They gave up 5 goals through a period and a half in that game to the Bruins, and just found a way to come back. Right, it's a credit to them that they were able to do it. The game against Carolina, they almost did it again. Right, down 3-0, they tie it. Couldn't make up for it after it was 4-3. Couldn't close that deal either. So they've kind of gotten away with some of their defensive deficiencies in some of these games. But I even look at that Carolina game, like that first goal that Carolina scored. It's it's a minute something in the game. I mean, that was a hope play if I've ever seen one, because Dastu was behind his own net. Yanni Gourde is at the center ice faceoff dot, and you got 3 guys screaming up the ice. And Dastu doesn't really have the options. They try to do a tip play on an entry play. It doesn't work out. Meanwhile, those 3 guys who were screaming up the ice, including Dastu's defensive partner, are caught because you're hoping you can make that breakout play. There's been, I think, a lot of that type of situation going on with this team coming out of the break. And you just kind of have to get back to the same page. As tough as last night's loss was in a building that they never win in, hardly ever, I think that there were signs of them kind of getting back in the right direction. I think that Gustafsson stole the first period in a lot of ways in that game last night. I think if they could have gotten one by him, I think if Bjorkstrand finishes on his breakaway chance, it's that game goes maybe a little bit different. But you saw signs, and you could hear it from Coop after the game that he liked a lot of what they were able to accomplish. It's not perfect, still too much time and space given up. If you're going to give Quinn Hughes the amount of time and space he had on that 4th Minnesota goal, he's going to score a goal, where he's going to create a grade A scoring chance, right? Like you can't give those guys that kind of time and space. And I think that's one of the things that they kind of need to get back to, because a strength of theirs during that run was their rush coverage and protecting the middle areas of the ice.
I
Hasn't
thank you
quite been there
because
in the past.
I thank you because after the Carolina game, they play against Buffalo, and I just pulled it up. February 28th, improvement for the goal bolts tonight. They're only down 2 goals at the first media timeout. And
Not
the
my
rest
fault.
has been history since then.
Not my fault. Well, and the first period has been a bugaboo, right? They gave up 3 against Carolina, 4 against Buffalo. It was only ended up being 1 against Minnesota. So they're baby steps, right? Gave up 3 in the first period, gave up 4 in the first period. Oh, just 1. We're moving in the right direction. And like, this is the stat I put up in the story that went in today, right? Like, my math is really bad. 4, 7, 8 first period goals in the past 3 games. They'd average giving up like 0.75 goals in the first period this year.
And when's the last time Vasi got pulled?
October of last year in Toronto. Right, and it happened in game, or in period. It very rare. I think it's only happened now 3 times watching Vasilevsky get pulled within a period. He's done it, coming out for a period, but very rarely does he do it in a period. And he did it last year in Toronto, and he did it obviously the other night against Buffalo, because he called it a mercy pull. I don't think Vazzy was very good, but the team in front of him was, dog, what.
Yeah.
I mean, there were times Buffalo looked like sweet Georgia Brown out there passing the puck around. I mean, that second goal that they scored, they had the light of defense spinning like tops. They had no idea what was going on, right? And that's not the characteristic of this team.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, Buffalo has a really good young team that's playing well, and it could be a very high potential of Buffalo seeing Tampa in the playoffs. So 7-game series, I like our chances, but it's interesting because, like we mentioned, Toronto pretty much done, Florida pretty much done. Those have been our foes. Those have been the guys we've been playing these last couple playoffs. And it's looking like it's going to be a different challenge this year with some folks that maybe we're not as familiar with, although they're still going to be in our division most likely.
Yeah.
Speaking of Quinn Hughes, a massive trade for Minnesota to bring him in. We've got the trade deadline this Friday. We know JBB's out there making calls, trying to make the moves. How do they pull it off though, with the cap space or limited cap space that they have? Doesn't it have to be a player with some sort of salary going in return? And if so, I mean, my first thought is Bjorkstrand's UFA, I believe, at the end of the season. I don't think they're going to try to bring him back. Would he be one that potentially goes the other way? Or how do they do it? Like, how do you pull off a trade if you're this team?
That's why Julian gets paid the big bucks. It's gonna be difficult because they changed the cap rules. Right now, you have to be cap compliant in the playoffs. Now you have to have there's a cap compliancy of the 18 skaters you dress, every night for games. So it works a little differently. You don't count the guys who are going to be scratched, but the guys who are going to be in the lineup there's going to be a cap you have to be compliant with. And the fact that because of all these injuries they've had, this was going to be a year where they weren't in LTI, right? They didn't have to have the Duncan Keith contract allowing them to get that space to utilize it, right? They were actually going to have a decent amount of cap space, relatively speaking, to previous years once you got to the deadline. But because of all the injuries they've had, it's eaten into that cap space. So it was going to be somewhat limited to begin with. Now it's really limited. So it pretty much is going to have to be dollar in, dollar out. I believe the number I saw was around 3.1 in available cap space. So you're going to have to be creative. And, I think that's a big reason why league-wide there hasn't been a lot of trades. Like, we thought there'd be a flurry of deals coming back from the Olympics, right? Because it was 10 days from the end of the Olympics until, the trade deadline coming Friday. But you haven't seen it. You saw a couple of minor deals and, coming out of it, but it's been relatively quiet for the most part. I know, there's a couple deals. It looks like the Mackenzie Weegar deal to Utah is going to go down. He approved it. I know the
Yeah, he waived the no trade there.
Yeah, the Colton Parenko is still kind of hanging in the balance if he ends up going to
Mata
Buffalo.
goes back in return.
Yeah, so so there's you're starting to see some movement, but it hasn't been the flurry that we thought it was going to be. I think the only guys who were happy are the crew at TSN, who start their trade deadline day show at like 7 a.m. I might actually have some trades to talk about live on the air rather than trades that have already been done, because it's just been that kind of a slow situation. So it's not going to be an easy task. Even like, I'm just going to throw a name out there because somebody brought it up to me in conversation, not any sort of rumor or anything like that, but a guy like Jonathan Toews, right? Jonathan Toews, who's going to be in the lineup tomorrow for Winnipeg, veteran guy. You want to talk about somebody who wins faceoffs? He's 61% on faceoffs this year. So his base salary is only $2 million, but he has bonuses that could be as much as $5 million. So you have to account for the potential bonuses that he could hit as well. And again, I'm not trying to start a rumor of Jonathan Toews. It's just a conversation.
Oh, no, I'm sending it now. Eric Errolson said.
I know you're always stirring the pot, Schoolie. So like even a what would be a minor deal, because it probably wouldn't cost you much to bring in Toews, and he has a full no move clause. He has complete control of whether he wants to go or not. He's a Winnipeg hometown hero, came back and signed after all those years in Chicago. But even a minor deal like that, you'd have to find a way to fit it under the cap, right? So that's what Julian Breezeblaw and Jeff Tambellini and the crew there in the front office have to deal with is that, right? So cap gymnastics are definitely going to be in play for the Lightning, but I don't think they can stand pat.
What do you think
that the holes on the top six forward is something that they have to fill, especially if Gonsalves is going to miss some time?
That's what I was going to ask. What is that number one target for JBB? I was hearing things during the Olympics. It's on the defensive side, but I mean, we've got a lot of players on defense that we know can play. To me, I'm with you. It's middle six, but you're saying top six.
Well, I think it's middle six.
Yeah, middle six.
Somebody who can play. Basically, you're looking for second line right wing in theory, right? If you're keeping Gensel, Point, and Kucherov together, and then you're keeping Hagel and Sorelli together. Because Gonsalves has played top six, and at times he's looked good, and at times you want to see more production out of him. Bjorkstrand just hasn't fit. We all thought that he was going to be the guy to be a top six forward and be a 20-plus goal scorer, and it just hasn't happened for him. He hasn't found his comfort level with this team, and I don't know if the leg injury affected him this season or not. I don't think it has, but that was a pretty gruesome injury that he did deal with at the end of last season. To me, I think ideally, if you're going to look for something, I think that's at the top of the list is a middle six forward who can play center, can play wing, but more importantly, can you win some draws? Right?
Yeah.
And
Now, Darren Dredger reported earlier today that he had heard that they were trying to go after Kadri.
Yeah.
Have you looked at his contract?
Yeah.
He's got 4 more years left at $7 million cap hit.
I mean, obviously, I think most of if we take anybody, the team's going to have to retain some salary. And of course, everybody wants to know, what's your opinion, Stamkos?
I don't see it happening. I just don't. It's, there was talks that there was some opportunities for him to come back over the summer, and it just didn't come together. And for me, it just doesn't feel like, I think that once they cut those ties, they cut the ties. And it's
I still think there's some bridges burnt there.
It's hard to go back. Look, I don't have any doubt in my mind that he would love to come back.
Oh yeah.
Right. But I think once the team cut those ties, they're not gonna re-knot him. Right. And not now, maybe somewhere down the line, maybe closer to the end of his career, maybe when his career is over, he, lands a front office job here or something. Right. Maybe that's the case, but it's hard for me to see, a reunion of that magnitude, because that would be a massive magnitude of everything. And, and he's been productive in Nashville. There's no doubt about it, especially since really the middle of December. He's, his point production's been there, and, he's been a big part of, Nashville trying to get themselves back into the playoff conversation. But it's really hard for me to see any scenario where they find a way to bring Steven Stamkos back, especially at the contract, even if Nashville retained 50%.
That's Edmund's support animal there. maybe Stammer will give him the kick in the ass and say, "Let's go, buddy. Let's go, big tree."
Maybe. and it would put somebody over on the power play that would be a threat, because even though Bjorkstrand's got 8 power play goals this year, he hasn't really been a threat from that spot like you would want to. I think. Look, there's another conversation I had with people on social media last night in regards to Bjorkstrand. Take him off power play 1. You can't. You need a right-handed shot on that power play to make it work, right? For everything running through Nikita Kucherov, it has to. I mean, the big thing that's made it work this year is Darren Radish. There's no doubt, and the way that he's been bombing shots from the center point, and you've seen him kind of change his angles up a little bit as well in terms of getting that shot off and really working on that shot. But you still need that right-handed shot over there at that circle just to be a threat, just to have an opportunity for Kucherov to use that to open up some other areas. And there are 3 right-hand shot forwards on this team right now. One is Braden Point, one is Oliver Bjorkstrand, and the other is Scott Sabrin. So who are you putting over at that circle if you're taking Oliver Bjorkstrand off? He just has to be a threat. You'd like to see him score. There's no doubt. He's got a great wrist shot, but that's not his spot. He's been the guy in the bumper, right? And we've seen when Braden Point was out and they moved Oliver to that spot, he had some glorious looks. Hit the post a couple times. Ilya Sorokin robbed him a couple of times, right? So but the shot was there, and that's where he's had a lot of his production through his career on the power play is from that spot. But you need a righty on that top power play just to make things work. And you're not moving Bjorkstrand off that spot. And ideally, if you could find somebody in a trade, it would be a right-hand shot, and it would be a right-hand shot who can take face-offs.
So, and by the way, for everyone out there, I know we haven't acknowledged the chat. It's very unlike us. We see you guys out there. We'll talk to you guys. But we got Eric Erlinson on here, lightninginsider.com. Make sure you go subscribe. He's been covering the team for 56 years, and the team's only been around for 30-something. So I don't know how he pulled that one off, but there's no one better than Lightning coverage. But realistically, and I've got a list up of the most likely guys to hit the trade market. Some of these guys have already been traded. Realistically, Eric, who do you think could be on the block to potentially go to the Lightning? You've got, speaking of reunions, you've got guys on here, and that he's come up in rumors before. Guy like Blake Coleman.
I mean, I like Blake. He doesn't take faceoffs though.
Right? You can't have it all, Eric. Come on.
You have to address it. Like last night, Minnesota was the 31st ranked team in faceoff percentage, and they won 63% of the faceoffs last night. Like that can't happen. You can't have that happen. It's such a big part of today's game, an underrated part of today's game, especially the power play. Look, when the power play struggled early in the year, biggest thing is they kept losing the draw. Lose the draw, puck would clear, and then they'd have a hard time regaining the zone, right? And it all starts with losing the faceoff. So, like, that has to be, I think it has to be addressed. If it's, it hasn't come from internal like they hoped. When we asked Julian about it mid-season, he said, you look at our guys and they're all below their career numbers and faceoffs. Well, I mean, that's great. You've done your homework on it, obviously. You've done the research on it, obviously. But it's not improving. And even Braden Point the other night, I think it was the Buffalo game. Like he won 11 of his first 13 faceoffs, and then he finished at 52% for the game. Right, so he just started losing draws left and right. Like it's a concern for me because you're going to need that guy to win that key defensive zone draw. Think of the Montreal game, trying to protect a 1-goal lead. You were hanging by your fingernails for that third period, right? You get a defensive zone draw with 11 seconds left. You can't tie it up. You can't win it. You lose it cleanly. Montreal ties the score, right? They got away with it because they won that game in the shootout. But in the playoffs, that could be the difference between moving on and going home. And so you need somebody who's more consistent in being able to do that. So to me, I love Blake Coleman. I love his game. We've certainly seen that this team is not shy from reunions, Ryan McDonough and Yanni Gourde in particular, right? They're not afraid to do that and find guys that have success. I just don't know if Blake Coleman checks enough boxes for me on what they need. He's a middle six guy. He can score goals. He'd be asked to play probably a top six role here. He was a third line guy when he was here before. But I find it hard that they would give up the assets that they're going to have to give up to bring in Coleman when, for me, he doesn't check enough boxes on need.
And Dickinson was just traded to Oilers for Mangiapane with 50%
found
retained.
A way to try Mangiapane? Man, they've been trying to trade that guy forever.
Yeah, and 27 first top 12 protected, and then the Oilers got Dickinson 50% retained and Colton Dodge.
How about this one, Eric? He's been rumored to potentially come here in the past. Evander Kane at the top of the list here.
Not a chance.
Why do you say that?
Because they don't like people with baggage. And he said baggage, they've always been about their whole Lightning brand. And they never seem to bring anybody in that has any kind of bad on their name.
He's a power forward. You can never have enough power forwards on your team. He can score some goals. He's got the playoff experience. Again, doesn't check enough boxes for me.
Well, who's checking the boxes for you?
Well,
Stamkos.
How about a guy like Vinny Trocheck?
Trocheck, I think, is going to cost you a lot.
He's a little bit. His contract is kind of heavy. Right, he's got a few more years left on the deal. He wants to stay on the East Coast. He's a right-hand shot. He can be a middle six guy. He can win faceoffs. That's the guy. I don't know if you can afford him, but that's the type of player that I'm looking for, right? And certainly he can kill penalties. He certainly did that for Team USA, who did not allow a power play goal in the Olympics, right? And he was a big part of the penalty kill unit there. I mean that. And if it's not him, I think it's that type of a player. Like that's the kind of guy that you probably need to find a way, if not him, that type of a role that you need. And the funny thing is, it is kind of a seller's market because there's a lot of teams who think they are in it, and there are a lot of teams who are in it, and not as many teams as out. So that does kind of drive the prices up a little bit. So and we'll see, and maybe that's why, because Julian, you look historically at Julian, he's made deals before the deadline. He has not waited until the deadline or even the day before the deadline. I mean, he caught me at Epcot Center twice when they acquired both Brandon Hagel and Nick Paul.
So where are you going to be tomorrow?
I am not going to be at Epcot Center. I can promise you that. But like it's kind of a running joke from here, that we have. I say, hey, am I okay to go to Epcot tomorrow, right? And he kind of laughs about it now, but I mean that's kind of been his MO. So you have to think that the new salary cap rule, the retention rule, right? You can't do a double retention anymore, which is how they were able to acquire some players in the past. David Savard stands out to me in a double retention deal with Detroit back a few years ago. So that option is out the window now. So I think he's learning to navigate this new cap situation, and it might be a little more difficult, not just for him, but I think for a lot of GMs around the league, especially the ones that are sort of tied to the cap or high, close to that ceiling, because it's we're sitting here on a Wednesday night at almost 9:00, and the Lightning have not made any moves, and that's not like Julian. That's not like, especially since 2019, he's been one of the first guys to kind of set the pace a little bit, and set the market a little bit in terms of bringing guys in, and it just hasn't happened this year, and I think that's a big part of it.
And yeah, I fully expect a trade by the time we sign off here tonight.
I keep refreshing everything.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised. But
Eric, do you get a phone call? Like, what is it with trade area? Like, you see those different training day and behind the scenes. Like, does someone call you and say, "Hey, Eric, we're getting ready to announce this trade," or do you just find out when they announce a press conference?
Things have changed. We used to get a heads up. We used to get, hey, this is coming. Be prepared for it. Now we tend to find out as soon as a Pierre LeBrun or a Darren Dreger or an Elliot Friedman report it, right? And I wish it wasn't that way, but those are rights holders. There are certain things that come with being a rights holder, and I think one of them is getting the opportunity to break news before anybody else. So normally, if we don't get it that way, it is coming from the team sometimes right around the time that they make it official. It's so hard to keep those things under quiet these days when it comes to the rights holders. Who was it? I think, was it like 4 or 5 years ago or something, maybe 6 years ago, Minnesota deliberately leaked something to somebody at like the NHL office to see how it would handle. And of course, it got out to one of the insiders, so they kind of found where the leaks were coming from. So it's look, it's I don't begrudge, that situation. I mean, look, ESPN all of a sudden now breaks news left and right. Is that coincidence? I don't think it's coincidence.
So, final question about the trade deadline: do the Bolts make a move or not?
Yes,
they got to, right?
Yeah.
They always do.
Julian always does something. It's it might not be sexy, it might not jump off the page, it might be a head scratcher the way he kind of operates sometimes, but their scouting staff is so dialed in and so good at what they do when they bring guys in. I mean, you think about it, outside of Tanner Jeannot, can you say that any trade has been a miss for Julian, especially at the trade deadline?
That one was the one that really stings a lot of people, though.
For sure. But remember when everybody thought he was crazy for giving up a first-round draft pick for Barclay Goodrow?
Yeah.
Turned out okay.
Turned out pretty good.
He was a pretty big, important player for a couple of cup teams.
Yeah. Brandon Hagel wasn't cheap. He wasn't cheap on that trade.
Nope.
So this is perfect transition. Before we get you out of here, we got some games to play with you. So this is a blind ranking. Oh, you can't get this wrong. I mean, the public opinion might tell you you're wrong. But you really can't mess this one up. And this is a tough one. This is blind ranking the top 8 trades in Tampa Bay Lightning franchise history. You've covered the team for 20 years before they started. So you should know out of anyone what these top 8 are. And yes, it's 8 trades we're going to talk about. So the first one I'm going to bring up, way back, 2002, Nikolai Habibolin comes in from the Coyotes for a first round pick, 1 through 8. Where are we sticking Nikolai Habibulin coming in and bringing the first cup to Tampa Bay?
I got to do this without knowing what the other ones are.
Yep.
That's the blind part. This is going to be tough. And you're only on the first one.
I know. Like he was like, I think he talked to those guys on that 04 team, and even Torts and Jay Feaster are like, man, the addition of him allowed that young team to grow because they could make mistakes. He'd cover them up and allow them to be more confident in their play. What are you doing to me? I'm going to put that 2.
All right, number 2. All right, next one. We got Ryan McDonough and JT Miller, ironically, back on the Rangers for it was Nemestikov, Howden, a first-round pick, a second-round pick, in Libor Hayek.
Libor Hayek, yeah.
Hayek.
Hayek.
Are these all deadline day? These are all deadline day deals we're talking about, or just trades in general?
Trades in general.
Trades in general. That makes it even more difficult. Let's put that at 5.
All right, we got that at 5. Next is shipping off Miguel Sergachev and getting J.J. Moser, Connor Geekie, a 7th round and a 2nd round pick. So basically, when we brought in Moser and Geekie for Sergachev. Felt like yesterday.
Let's put that one at 6.
Next also involves Mikhail Sergachev, except when we brought in the 2-time Stanley Cup champ for a guy known as Jodro, Jonathan Drouin, a New York Islander currently.
4.
All right, bringing in Sergachev at 4, shipping him out at 6. Next, I put these as a combo because I think it just is always going to go down as a combo. 2020, we bring in Blake Coleman and we bring in Barclay Goodrow in 2 separate trades.
I'm going to go 3.
All right, 3 for bringing in that 3rd line for the back-to-back cups. Next up, 1998. We traded 1 pick up to get the number 1 pick in the draft, a guy named Vincent Lecavalier.
See, now I'm in a box.
Harder as you go.
Because I have in my mind what I think would be 1, but Vinny would be too low now on this list. Man.
You got 2 after this left.
I know.
2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are gone.
I mean, it was kind of a franchise changer. Without knowing what the other 2 are, I'm going to put that at 1.
Wow, Vinny at number 1.
I've screwed myself, but
Not necessarily.
yeah, no, I have.
Not
Wait,
necessarily.
who do you think? What would you, in reality, not blind? What would you put as your number 1?
In hindsight, probably Steve Downey. It's a trio trade, right? It was Steve Downey for, I forget the defenseman that they got from Colorado, and then flipped the defenseman to Detroit for a 1st-round draft pick, which turned into Andrei Vasilevsky.
Well, good for you because I don't have that one on the list. All right, next we have 2014. Marty St. Louis gets shipped out of town for Ryan Callahan and a bunch of picks.
8.
Put that at 8. And then the last one is going to be...
It was Kyle Quincy was the defenseman.
Thank you, yes.
So the last one is going to end up at number 7, and that will be 2022. Brandon Hagel comes to town for a boatload of draft picks and Boris Kachuk and Taylor Radish, not to be confused with Darren Radish. So there you go. Not bad. I mean, you've got Vinny trading up to get Vinny at number 1. You got Nikolai Habibolin coming to town, number 2. I mean, listen, that sets this team up to win their very first Stanley Cup. So you can't go wrong there. 3, Blake Coleman and Goudreau coming in, winning back-to-back cups shortly afterwards. 4, Sergachev comes in for Druin. 5 was getting Ryan McDonough on this team. JT Miller had a little stint here too. And then 6 was Sergachev getting shipped off for JJ Mosier. Hopefully the future. Connor Geeky was a little quiet last night. And then 7, Hagel coming to town for some first rounders and some players. And then number 8 was shipping Marty St. Louis. And we got Ryan Callahan and some draft picks. Well, that's not bad. Yeah, I think you did well.
See, another one I would have had on here was Ben Bishop.
Getting him or trading him for Chernak?
No, getting him.
Getting him for Conacher?
Yeah. And then Conacher ended up back in the organization a couple years later.
Yeah, and basically was AHL, with the Crunch mostly. But yeah, well, I thought the same thing. I had actually, Shooter had asked me a couple of these, and I had said the Bishop trade to LA for Chernak and Peter Budai at the time. Yeah. And then that's basically when Vasi got the reins.
Well, because Bishop was just supposed to be a stopgap.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He was supposed to be a stopgap until Vasi was ready. And he came in and turned into a Vezina candidate. Right? He led them. He gave a young team some confidence in being able to cover up some mistakes. And I'd like to see what would have happened if he didn't get hurt right before the start of the playoffs in 14. Right? I think they might have had a chance to beat Montreal in that series. Anders Lindback was not very good. Probably cost them that first round series. And then, of course, in 15, if he doesn't get hurt against Pittsburgh, or against Chicago, who knows? Same thing in the next year in 16. If he doesn't get hurt in the series against Pittsburgh, right? Like, we could have been talking about multiple cups.
And then their hands were tied with the expansion draft with Vegas coming in, and they were only going to be able to protect one goalie when you had to protect Vasi.
Well, and Bish was going to be a UFA that year.
Yep.
And eventually you were going to have to turn the reins over to Vasilevsky because you knew he was your future, right? You knew he was the guy that was going to be the number 1 going forward. And as it turns out, that's exactly what it was. The fact that you were able to trade a goalie in season like that and get a Chernak back, it's remarkable because the goalie market's different. It's different in free agency. It's different in trades. It's just different. I mean, look at all the talk about Binnington now, right? Like, it's hard to trade a goalie in season. It's just difficult because the teams that need a goaltender aren't in the playoffs and they're not going to trade for one. And the teams that are in the playoffs probably aren't looking for a goalie, unless they're Vegas, because Vegas is always looking for a goalie. So it's the fact that Steve Yzerman was able to pull that deal off and bring in a Chernak at that time was a great move. So it could have been on the list too.
So we'll let you go, but real quick, and it's tough to answer these questions real quick. Stadium series. What was your thought? Like, were you as amazed by the whole experience as we were?
It was an amazing night. It's one that we'll never forget here in Tampa, especially with the weather cooperating and the way that the game went, the goalie fights. I mean, the league hit such a home run. I don't want to say they backed into the success, but they got lucky in a lot of ways with the success and the way that the whole goalie fight developed. I mean, you need a perfect storm of things for a goalie fight to happen, right? The one part that I probably missed out on the most, being in the press box, you couldn't really hear the crowd, right? It was kind of a muffled, so you couldn't really feel that atmosphere. In Nashville, I went down into the stands a little bit because it was a lot easier to get from the press box to the stands at the stadium in Nashville, so I could get that feel for it. I couldn't get a feel for this one. I understand it was electric, especially in the comeback started, the goalie fight, like that was the thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but was that not one of the loudest cheers that took place that night was when that happened?
Oh, yeah.
You couldn't really hear it in the press box. You could see it, and you could kind of hear a low roar from the crowd, but you couldn't really get a feel for it. So that's the one thing that I missed by being in the press box. I didn't have to wrap myself up in a blanket all night long. I was inside the somewhat warmth of the press box, so I am grateful for that. Um, because even going over to the radio booth for the intermission hits, they had their window open, Dave and Phil. So they were all bundled up because that's how they're calling the game. So me, just in my regular jacket, going over there to do some hits for intermission, it was a little cold. I had to put my gloves on, I think, for second intermission hits. So, but it was an amazing experience. The build up from the day, the team arrivals, which has become a thing now for these outdoor games, and for the Bruins to show up the way they did, for the Lightning to show up the way that they did, which I think caught a lot of people by surprise, dressed in full Bucks uniforms. It was a very, very memorable day for the sports scene here in Tampa, and it was a treasure to have that game here and the way that things worked out. It really was.
Yeah, unbelievable. And then just another great moment just a couple weeks ago. We talked about it last week, obviously. I mean, did you ever think you'd see Team USA win that gold medal?
Yeah, look, they're a good team. They're a good team. I think that they didn't play to their full potential in that gold medal game, especially as the second and third period went on and Canada started to take possession advantage and everything else. You were like, oh man, they needed Connor Hellebuck to put in a Jim Craig type performance in that game. He was outstanding in that match. The save he made on who was it, Taze, right? Devon Taze at the top of the crease. I mean, they kind of joked about it, but was that not the ghost of Johnny Gaudreau coming in? Because like the perfect storm for that save to happen, he gets the stick out, and not only does he get the stick out, the puck goes wide. It doesn't go back. It doesn't go up and over the stick. He was able to push it wide and get it out of harm's way. I mean, that's going to go down as
It
one of the
literally
great
goes
saves.
right behind Hellebuck, right in
Yeah.
front of the goal line.
It's crazy. So, like, things certainly aligned for the U.S. in that game. I think it's going to give a huge boost. So you look at the numbers, the number of people watching that game, and you're getting hockey players outside of Wayne Gretzky on Saturday Night Live, right? You're getting hockey in that kind of a spotlight. They were on, Quinn and Jack and Hillary Knight were on, the Fallon show the other night as well, right? The Tonight Show. So it's put hockey in the spotlight for a good reason, right? And hopefully it's not 46 more years before the U.S. wins gold again.
I don't think so. We talked about it last week. You just saw over the last 20 years, like that USA hockey program just step up and up and up. And, when you're against Team Canada is always going to have some stars, right? Like they've got, but I mean, super impressive to see what those guys did over there. And man, what a great year of hockey it's been so far. We're only barely 3 months in. And hopefully the Lightning can make something special happen later this summer.
Well, you know what I love about the USA story? The number of players, like the 96 World Cup team inspired by the 1980 team, right? The U.S. National Development Program spurred on by the success of the 96 World Cup hockey team, right? That 2004 World Junior team that won gold for the first time spurred another generation. Like you've seen this generational footprint that, the USA Hockey has been able to put out there that have inspired other American players. And that's why, so much money has been poured into the development process and the development program that's brought, you look at the number of players that were on that USA team that came through the development program, right? Super talented players that are brought into an atmosphere where they can grow together. That's why you've had the success at the World Junior level, and now you're having it at the international level. You looked at those rosters. Obviously, Canada had the better high-end talent. You got McDavid and McKinnon and McCarr. Those are three of the best players in the world. They're all going to be Hall of Famers. And not that the U.S. doesn't have Hall of Famers in their lineup. Their high-end talent, not as high tier. Close, but not as high tier. But depth-wise, I think the U.S. had a deeper team, especially on defense and particularly in goal.
Yeah, two totally different games or teams. And yeah, you're right. Goalie advantage by far went to Team USA. Cool. All right. Well, hey, we'll let you go. Thank you again, Eric. Always a pleasure to get you on. If you guys are not already subscribed to lightninginsider.com, Eric has the best Lightning coverage, always has. So you are doing yourself a disservice as a Lightning fan. So go support Eric in Lightning Insider. Eric, hopefully we'll have you on later this season, or maybe celebrating another Stanley Cup at the towards the end of the summer here. But well, we got a long way to go and a lot of games until then. But hey, man, thank you again for jumping on, and we will see you soon. Okay.
Yep, my pleasure. And don't forget, for people who watch the podcast, if you're not a subscriber, use Thunder in the coupon code to get $10 off.
Awesome. Cool. And we'll post that later. So thank you, Eric. We'll see you soon, and go Bolts.
All right, be well, boys.
All right. We're going to transition here. We're not going anywhere because we got another guest, Thomas Cooley. Didn't know. We're double dipping tonight.
Real quick, the GM of the St. Louis Blues, Armstrong, has went in and told his team that several of them will be asked to waive their clause, their no trade and their no move clauses, that they are decided to go a different way. So look for St. Louis to be sellers.
Well, we're going to talk more about some players because I want to get your take on who the Lightning should grab. But first, we want to bring on our next guest. I got to tee this up here. So say something, Schoolie, while I tee this thing up. Don't sing.
Needs to
You
be
want
traded.
people to stick around. Don't sing anything.
Na, bye bye, Hetty.
That's not happening.
Sorry.
All right, let's bring him on. First time on the show, we've got the man behind the handle, Bolts Breakdown. Let's bring him on with a Thunder Strike. What's up, man? Hey, sorry to keep you waiting there, but we just had a lot to talk about. And we got plenty more to talk about with you. So, hey, welcome to the show. I guess the first question I'll ask you, because we don't really know each other. We just kind of hang out on X, Twitter, whatever we're calling it these days. How'd you start all this? When did you become a Bolts fan? Like, are you a Tampa native? I don't even know if you live in Tampa, but how'd all this start and how'd you become a Bolts fan?
Well, yeah. What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on the show. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sounds great.
Cool. Yeah, I am a Tampa native. Lived here my whole life. Been a Bolts fan my whole life. Really, Bolts Breakdown just is it's come from my fandom of the Lightning. It's just a passion that I have, and I would do this regardless of if there's a future in media or broadcasting or anything. It's just kind of what I like to do. So Bolts Breakdown is just a way for me to send some information about the Lightning out to whoever wants it, help people be fans. Kind of the concept is that I'll bring all the information that people don't have time to get into one spot. So all you got to do is follow me, and I'm going to tell you all about the Lightning. But it's really just a passion that I have. I'm a big Bolts fan. I've been a big Bolts fan my whole life, and it's a way for me to get all the information I crave anyways. So
How old are you?
I'm 24.
Schoolie's checking IDs at the door. Well, hey, man, good for you. Congratulations for doing that. Sounds like it's something that you really enjoy doing, and that's kind of how this show started too. We love talking about the Lightnings and hockey, and it's what we enjoy to do. So glad to have you on and chit chat about the team here.
Glad to be here. Thanks.
I guess we'll kind of start off with, this theme with the trades, right? The trade deadline is in a couple days. So really that's the hot topic right now. In your opinion, what do you think the Bolts need to do? Who do you think they need to bring in? And not necessarily who, because we'll bring up my list again.
Sure.
But what type of player do you think they should be trying to bring in?
Well, it's a difficult question. I think, honestly, if I had my way, I wouldn't bring anybody in. I think our team is great. And I think it started with last year. I think the addition of Bjorkstrand and Gord really solidified a team that I already thought was good. And now we see that third line, the Hounds, I call them. That's going to win us the Stanley Cup, I think, by themselves. So, personally, I don't think we need to do anything. I know JBD and his history while he's been here, he's brought somebody in every year. So do I think that we're not going to do anything? there's no chance. I think somebody's coming, and if we have to bring somebody in, it's got to be a right-handed shot, preferably somebody who can win face-offs or upgrade the Bjorkstrand position.
Yeah, totally. You think they would potentially unload Bjorkstrand as a package to go back, or anyone else, or is it just like doing the gymnastics of figuring out how we can work around the salary cap?
I think for sure. I mean, JBB said it in the Fireside Media chat, which I'm sure we've all heard by now, but he said that the faceoffs can come from the guys in the room, right? We have Point, we have Sorelli, we have Gord, we have Gergensons, we have Gensel, who can even take draws. Like, I think the faceoffs can be solved in-house, so I'm not too worried about that. But I think if we are going to upgrade that Bjorkstrand position, if we're going to get somebody with a right shot who can play power play, it's going to have to involve Bjorkstrand going out, if for nothing else, cap compliance. I don't know all the numbers specifically, but I know we're pretty tight on it, and Bjorkstrand's at $5 million, so he's going to have to go out the door if we're going to bring somebody who can upgrade that position. I wouldn't be surprised if we see other people go out too. I mean, I know you guys have mentioned it before, but I am of the opinion, I don't know, I'd be shocked if Radish gets traded.
Yeah, I think it, and I mentioned it in my bold prediction for this year. I think it's more likely to happen right before free agency, when they just trade his rights away. But
most likely.
And remember, like, we got Jake Gensel for we paid a second or third round pick just for the rights.
Just for his rights for 1 day in advance.
First. So I see something like that happening, just because they probably won't be able to bring him back. But I think trading him now would be tough. I think that would kind of be a gut punch to a lot of the fans and even the team, the players, right? Like, this guy's been so good, and all of a sudden we're just going to ship him off.
He's become quite a weapon for Kucherov on that power play. I think Kucherov might be a little hurt if we get rid of him.
Yeah, I mean, who you going to put Hedman back up there? That's kind of your only. I guess you could put Dessou up there.
That would make a lot of fans angry if we did that.
But here's the question for you both. It doesn't have to just be this list. It's just for reference. But who's number one on the wish list here if JBB could do some magic?
It was Cole Smith, but Cole Smith's already been traded, so that was who JBB was targeting the most.
I'm asking who Thomas Schooley's targeting the most.
That's Steven Stamkos.
Ain't happening. Who else?
It ain't happening, but you said who's on my wish list. It would be Steven Stamkos.
All right, who else? Who realistically, who do you think they might bring in?
I think if they're going to do anything, it's going to be Trocheck. Now, I think they're going to have to give up the heavy price and maybe some salary retained, but I think they're going to try to go all in on Trocheck.
Bolts breakdown. What do you think?
I'm siding with Schooley first, making known. I think Stammer is the best fit. You think about what I previously answered. We need a power play, right shot, face-off guy. I mean, Stammer is 8th in the entire league in face-off percentage. He's 55.5% this year. So he's not slowing down on the goal department either. He's got 9 power play goals, which would tie Radish for our team lead. So I think it would be hard to fit, but if we can get Nashville to retain, I mean, it fits under the playoff cap for the single game. We have to be under the 95.5, and it fits. We're at like 93 if we take our most expensive players, subbing Bjorkstrand out, put Stammer in his spot. So that's number one. If we can't get him, I want a center, a right-handed center, so we can get somebody like Cody Glass. I had McCarron, who I know was just dealt yesterday, I believe. So Trocheck would be a good one. I struggle with the Rangers, so I'd have to get over some things if we brought in Trocheck, but he would certainly fit.
But every time we've gotten someone from the Rangers, it's done great for us. So
exactly. Let's avoid that.
You guys are starting to convince me on the Trocheck thing. He might be the best fit to get on this team if they can make it work. The other person on this list who I've always really liked is Jordan Kyrou. I don't know if he fits what we really need, but
they're definitely cutting him. He's definitely getting traded. Well, it might be a off-season thing, but he's definitely gone.
St. Louis, the Canucks, the Flames, it's open. The Rangers, like 4 teams that are open season right now. I think you can make a pitch for any of their players. But I like Kyrou. The other one that's come up from the Blues, and I thought he was injured for some reason, that might check more boxes, is Robert Thomas.
He would just demand, both of those guys really, they demand a huge package. I think they both have, 4 or 5 years left on their contracts. So I would love them. Either player would be great. I think Kyrou's left-hand shot. Thomas might be as well, but I think JVV has a knack for bringing in good players, and we'll figure the rest out. So if we can make it work, I'd be ecstatic.
Yeah, and it is pretty interesting about what we talked about earlier with like the right-handed shot. So, we're all thinking maybe that return has a Bjorkstrand in there. I mean, what do you do with that spot on the power play? It's just awkward to have a left-handed shot in that spot on the power play. We've seen them kind of mess around with it a little bit last year.
But it sounds like St. Louis is wanting a lot because there was very close deal with the Sabres for Thomas, and the Sabres ended up pulling out because of the asking price.
But we've got some ammunition to make some trades, and maybe not first-round draft picks unless we want to go.
Well, that's what they wanted: a prospect, a player, and a first-round draft pick.
We could do that 2028, and then we've got plenty of prospects that could go the other way.
He's under contract through 2030, 31 with 8.125 million salary cap hit.
Roscoe's saying Thomas was traded.
Stop.
Yeah, you're out of here. What about prospects going the other way? How would you guys be upset to see Connor Geekie get shipped out?
No.
He just can't.
No, wow, that's surprising. I would be furious.
No.
But last night he came back, and I'll tell you what, I'll give him credit. He was tearing it up in the AHL, tearing it up. But it seems like he just can't find his game up here. Even last night, just not much of an impact. Had a couple mistakes I noticed, and overall got decent minutes. And I know it's your first game back in the big leagues, but how long is it going to take this guy to actually become the player that they need, especially if he's a guy that's still a coveted young 21-year-old big centerman who's got a lot of potential. Like, I would imagine that's a guy that's on the list that they're asking for when they're saying, hey, we need a prospect, a draft pick, this, that. I would imagine he's towards the top of that list.
I put Geeky in the same list as Eric Condra, Corey Conacher, Luke Witowski, Gabriel Dumont. They're lifelong AHLers with a little pizzazz in the NHL, but never really make it.
21, bro. He's 21.
I'm shocked. I mean, I'm shocked to hear that.
I was all
so
for
young
Geeky at the beginning of the season and some of last season, but he just doesn't seem, not with the Lightning at least. I think he would have to stay on. He would be a lifeline crunch person on maybe another team. He gets to be there, but not for the Lightning.
I disagree.
You look at his brother. I mean, his brother's had a similar track record up to now, and he's going to score 40 goals this year. He tied last year's 33 total, and 59 games so far. So I think we got to give him a little longer of a leash. I think last night was a tough test for him. I mean, we put him with Sabrin, I like Sabrin, but that's not necessarily the easiest assignment. And we're playing Quinn Hughes in the Wild. That's an incredible team there. So he laid the body. He had 4 or 5 hits last night, and I think that's if a stud like Geeky's still laying the body. I think he wants it, and I think that work ethic's going to propel him above a Conacher or an ABB or whoever we compare him to.
Yeah, I mean, you're comparing him with like these little forwards. So I totally disagree with you on that, School. You got to give this guy a little bit more of a chance. Now, that said, these teams come knocking and they want a prospect, and now's our year to win it. Then I'm letting him go for the right player.
Fair point.
I mean, how on a pro NHL team, how much do you give them a chance? Like I would give up in Gonzalez in a heartbeat also.
Oh,
No.
crazy, man. What are you watching? What are you watching? Hold on. You're making me pull up stats here. Let me
You can't give up Gonzo at all. I mean, he's just now figuring it out.
Sure you can.
let me pull up some stats. I don't think you've realized how little of an NHL career he has. By the way,
Which one are you talking about? Are you talking about Geeky or Gonzo?
both. Geek.
Oh.
I was talking about Geeky, but both.
I mean, they're similar. I mean, Gonsalves played 60 games last year, and I think Geeky played 52. So it's really just this year that's the difference. And Gonzo struggled early this year. He's just starting to figure it out now. So give
Since he
Geeky
got put
another
on the first
30
line,
games.
and who wouldn't?
True. You make a fair point. I saw an interesting stat the other day. Gonzo with Point and Kucherov, they played together a little bit before the break, before Point got hurt, and following the break. They had a stat a couple of games ago where it was 8 minutes they had 9 games, 8 minutes averaging, and they had 13 goals for and 0 goals against as a
Listen,
trio.
I think just a week ago I was on the Gonzo wagon because I said how Hagel was never believed to be anybody until he was on Chicago's top line.
That's right. You said that
with
last week's
Taves,
episode.
and Kane, and then look what his career has spun up to. Now Gonzo, like you guys said, you got to give him time. How much time do you give him?
So here you go. Geeky, 59 career games, 8 goals, 7 assists, 15 points. That's not enough time to just give up on a player and say he's an NA or an AHL career player. Come on,
For
man.
the Lightning, I think he is.
All right. It'd be really
For
interesting.
the Anaheim Ducks, I think he's a first line.
All of a sudden, Gage, who got hurt, he's out right now, but he'll be back. His injury looked way less severe than Dominic James, who's been put on long-term IR. But it'd be really interesting to see them put him. See, this is what might stop that. He's really a center, and I think they want to develop him as a center. But put him up as a wing or move Point over to wing. Put Geeky on that first line with Point and Cooch and see what happens. You don't think he'll score some points and he'll get some goals and some assists?
I don't think he's as fast as those two. Like, I think Gage is as fast as those two. I don't think Connor is. I don't think Connor could hang with them. I think Connor needs to be with Sorelli and Hagel, or Paul. I think that those are all the big guys. If you're gonna put someone if you're gonna change Gage out of one, I would have put Yanni up on that top. Yanni's fast, and rough. I wouldn't mind seeing him play with those two.
But Gage did pretty well when he got up on that line.
He's quick. He's small. He's quick. You got a big difference with Geeky. He's tall. He's a bigger guy. He's almost tall.
But Geeky is a shooter too, so I think that dynamic with Kucherov could be helpful for Geeky. I think Kucherov feeds him the puck, and you let Geeky take a one-timer.
Yeah, I was hoping they had his AHL stats on here. I thought I had some somewhere on here. 51 points in 47 games with the Crunch. Point per game. You can't really complain about that. But I'm with Bolt's breakdown on this one. And maybe it's in the family. It's the slow rise to the NHL with Morgan Geeky finally kind of like turning the corner and really becoming almost like a superstar type player for Boston this season. He's got way more games under his belt than Geeky does. So
42 penalty minutes for him too in the AHL right now.
See, that won't fly here.
Nope.
If he starts going in the box, that's something that might get him sent back down. But it'll be interesting because he's got this little window right now to really get his chance to stick and to play some playoff minutes with this team potentially later this season. All right. What else? Bolt's breakdown. What have you been breaking down lately?
Well, I take it week by week, so it's basically game in, game out, and then I try to find all the little stats and highlights and trends, and I put it all in one spot. So most recent was last night's game. And then
What's your
tomorrow we
first
got some
name
more.
so I can say how crazy we and Shooter are?
It's
Sure.
Bolts.
I go by Boomer. Yeah, it's Bolts. It's Boomer, like Boomer Esiason.
Oh.
How do you know who that is?
Good question. Good question.
Some people call Shooter a boomer.
Yeah.
Almost am. Well, so what do you think about this 3-game skid? Is there anything you've really noticed that's been different besides just giving up way too many goals?
Sure. I mean, the goals it's very glaring. I think I was expecting a slump. I mean, you think about back when we were like taking our back-to-back cup runs. When 1920, I think it was, we had a similar stretch of games where we were dominant over like 20, 25 games. And then to finish the season, we went 3-7. That was going right into the playoffs. And so I think I've been bracing myself for a slump to come, and I think we're in the slump. And I think, like I believe it was Mac McDonough, he was talking about the chemistry is a little bit off coming from the Olympics. I think it's just that. I don't think it's anything to get too worried about. I think as we continue to play, especially in this loaded March schedule, we'll find our footing again, and we'll be right back to where we were. So I'm not
Yeah.
worried about it. I just kind of throw it out.
And
Some bad
honestly,
games.
historically, this team going back almost 7 or 8 years has slumped in March. And everyone's like, well, what's happening? Like, because we've been decent all season usually. And then we just hit this like lull in March. And, we're always like, they're just waiting for the playoffs, just going through the motions right now.
Right.
I don't think you're going to really see this be an extended slump. I think they're going to try to course correct right away because, I mean, we're not definitely in the playoffs. I think like our chances are pretty high, right? But it's not a lock. Like there is a chance if we tumble that with how competitive this division and conference is, that they could not make the playoffs. So I think Cooper knows what he's doing. He's gonna nip this one in the bud. And the team's just too talented. I don't know what's really been happening the last 2 games. They came out last night and they weren't that bad in the first period. I feel like they got worse throughout the game. But it's just defensively not good. I think I saw someone in the chat. Yeah, Roscoe, tighten up. They need to tighten up defensively. And then, I'll never blame the goalie, but Vassie's not the Vassie of last month.
Right.
So Vassie needs to kind of get back in his groove. And I think more than anything, for him, that was the break, right? He wasn't playing in the Olympics, obviously. How do you mirror that type of action, right? You're not going to be able to do that going to Brandon and having Cooch and, a couple of these other guys shoot pucks at you.
Right.
No, but look at these goalies that did go to. I mean, I think we talked about this a week or 2 ago. Hellenbeck and Bennington have sucked during their NHL season. Here they are, gold medal and a silver medal. Now Bennington is being possibly on the trade block. Hellenbeck hasn't gotten better since he's been here. I mean, been back from the Olympics. So it's really like, did these Olympics hurt anybody? Did they help anybody? Instead, you got more injuries from players. You got some players back that was before the break. And it doesn't seem like anybody has gotten an advantage or a disadvantage from this hockey break, whether it was the Russian teams not going. I mean, Bobrovsky still sucks no matter what. Vassy, is this just Vassy coming back to earth? We've seen this with Vassy last year. We saw it with Vassy the year before. Is it just Vassy coming back to earth? And then are they going to regain? I mean, they got what? A game Winnipeg, then Toronto, then Buffalo, then back home versus Columbus and Detroit. So they got 5 games in how many days? 8 days. 5 games in 8 days that they're going to be playing. And so you got to imagine Vassy does most of those Honestly, I don't know if he plays Toronto or Buffalo. I don't know if they want him embarrassed at Buffalo again. I really think I'd put Johansson against Buffalo. And
You got to think they give Vasi Buffalo, right? That's the
instead
playoff
of
team.
Toronto,
I know they typically like to give him the first one, but Toronto's basically out of this race, and
I know
Buffalo's
that's why I would say put Johansson in against Toronto because they're not really anything, and you could squeak out those 2 points, and then
sure.
hopefully Vasi saves you on that second game against Buffalo. But then, this is possible playoff team you might meet in the playoffs. Do you
Right.
want to get in Vasi's head that maybe gets pulled twice against Buffalo?
Sure. I mean, that's a fair thought. I think Vasi's as competitive as anybody, and so
Oh, for
I
sure.
bet Vasi's in Coops here saying I got to get that Buffalo game. That's just my guess, but
I'm putting Vasi against Buffalo right away. He's pissed about getting pulled. He's hungry to beat those guys after what they did to him. And then, the whole other side of it, talking about some of the other goalies not playing as well, is you're as good as the team in front of you.
Yeah.
And the team in front of him has just not been good lately. And gosh, that mistake last night from Vasi was just like, what the heck are we doing?
Backbreaker.
I mean, stuff like that happens. That was just like, I felt like when that happened, it made it 3-1. Which normally with this team, I don't think we're out of it until it's a 5-goal deficit, right? But I felt like after that little blunder by Vasi, after we just had gotten that goal, we got some momentum now. I was like, this game's over. And then of course they let Quinn Hughes just walk right up the middle. And there's no player that really you want to let walk up in the middle like that, but definitely no players named Hughes you want to walk up the middle right now. Maybe Luke, but man, that was a bad look for this team last night. But like we've said before, and we said all day yesterday and during the game, there's a little bit of a curse associated with that city in this team for whatever reason. They just can't win up there. Maybe it's from that rumor from back in the day. But here's the schedule, though. Yeah, so we talked about it. 3 more games on the road: Winnipeg, Toronto, Buffalo, the Great North, and then they'll be back for Columbus, Detroit, Carolina, essentially next week. If you guys want to go to a game, we'll help you out. Go to SeatGeek.com. You can use our code STRIKE20. You get $20 off your first time using SeatGeek. So if you want to go to any of those games or any throughout the rest of the season in the playoffs, you can use SeatGeek.com. It helps us out tremendously. So please use that code STRIKE20, SeatGeek.com. All right, so let's break it down here before we get out of here. Let's go through, and we do this show week by week, right? So we're gonna stop here at Columbus, Winnipeg tomorrow night. I've got us winning that game. You guys both on board with a win in Winnipeg. Winnipeg's another one of those teams that might start trading players pretty soon.
Yeah, I think Winnipeg. There's going to be some people up there that might think this could be their last game. Might possibly get held out. We've seen that a couple times this season. So, or even some trades before the game. So this is a team that looks like they're like on teeter top. So I think we win that one.
It's crazy because they were so good last year. They were such a good regular season team. All right, so Toronto, who we talked about earlier, they're pretty much said they're sellers now, and they really are in a hole that they probably can't get out of at this point either. Just like the Florida Panthers. Oh, so good to say that. Toronto, do we win in Toronto on Saturday night?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm going to say that's the game we lose.
Really?
I don't know.
Trap game before the Buffalo game?
It seems like such a trap game. So I'll go loss on that one. And then quick turnaround in Buffalo. Buffalo still on fire. I think if it wasn't for the Dallas Stars, Buffalo might be the hottest team in the league right now. But in Buffalo, Sunday at 6 p.m., I'm going to give us a win, a bounce back win in Buffalo with Vasi in net.
Yeah, we're too competitive to let them do it twice. I think we got Buffalo too. I think we get all three. I think we close the
I
road
say a
trip with
lot of
6 points.
fights, full penalty box, typical Buffalo game. If it this is what we kind of miss. Full penalty boxes, the Lightning wins it.
I think that's a good approach. Bully them around a little bit and see what happens. And then Tuesday, Columbus Blue Jackets come to town. This freaking Columbus team, the
I think
team
we
that
lose.
beat us in our big streak in January. Will we lose to Buffalo at home or get the dub?
Not Buffalo, Columbus.
Sorry, Columbus. Getting tired.
I think if there's any game this week that I'm worried about, it's that game.
Yep,
First
me
game
too.
back from a long road trip. I mean, they're going to be fighting for that playoff spot. I'm worried about that one, but you never know. This team always surprises me.
Coach Bonus has lit a fire under their ass. He knows the Lightning inside and out. Columbus takes it.
I'm taking a win at Columbus at home. So I think we go 2-2, 2-2. You guys are basically saying 3-1.
3-1.
3-1.
And then it doesn't get much easier, guys. Detroit, who plays us really well. Carolina, we saw what they did to us the other night. And then we got a Northwest Coast trip. Seattle on the road, Vancouver on the road, Edmonton on the road, Calgary on the road. And then thankfully they come back for somewhat of an extended homestand here. So it's a lot of games. This is the month right here. Look at how many games they have. That is insane. But yeah, it's going to come down. My Amazon thing's like going crazy over here. I don't know why. Must have said the code word. All right. So let's look at the schedule. What else? What else do we need to know about Bolts Breakdown? What do we got cooking on that? Bolts Breakdown, you basically have like a blog, right?
Yeah, it's a newsletter. It's a weekly newsletter. There's not much to it other than just trying to bring all of the information humanly possible to find about the Tampa Bay Lightning into one spot. I think they call that like a digest account or something, but really it's just people who don't have enough time to follow the Bolts who want to. Well, then all of the information's in one spot. So accumulating all the stats I can find or the highlights or just random information, and then it goes out on Monday mornings.
So you email it out then?
Yeah, it's a newsletter email list. All you got to do is put in your email, and the blog comes right to your inbox.
I got to get on the list for sure. So yeah, make sure
you're
you guys
on the list.
Go follow at Bolts Breakdown on X. Pretty active, part of the X Bolts community. But make sure you follow him. And there you go. There's the question right there. What's the where can they go? They can probably go to your X, right?
Yeah, it's my X in the little bio. You can click a link, or you can just go to boltsbreakdown.substack.com. That's where you can find all my work.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to subscribe myself. So yeah, go check you. Question here. Anything about Hedman? I think Thomas Schooley's just been crapping on Hedman all night. So does that count?
There's a lot of Hedman haters out there. I think we got to give him time.
He's coming back from injury. I am the president, the CEO, the vice president, the secretary. Listen, when I heard the other night when he scored his first goal of the season, so
not a goal scorer. Not a goal scorer that Hedman.
Or a defenseman, or a skater.
I think we got to take it easy on him. He'll come around.
Yeah, I'm not ready to get rid of Hedman yet, but I will say he just looks larger out there right now.
Oh, he has. I lost, I think, 20 pounds, and I think Hedman found it.
Oh, harsh. He's harsh.
Hope you run into him before the game next week. Dominic James, Brock Bryceman is asking. Dominic James is on long-term IR. Not a good sign. That was a nasty-looking injury, so hopefully he'll be back by the playoffs. Gage Gonzalez, on the other hand, should be back, I think, next week, maybe this weekend. All right. I think we're good to go. This has been a long show, but there was a lot to talk about. 3-game losing streak, ready to turn around. According to you guys, we're about to go on a 3-game winning streak. I like it.
In case Geeky and Hedman are watching, I got you guys.
There you go.
All right. Well, let's get out of here. Bolts Breakdown. Thank you. Boomer, thank you for joining us. Always great. Well, it's first time on here, so it's not always, but the first time was pretty good.
It's an honor, guys. I appreciate you having me on here. I'm always happy to jump on, talk some Lightning hockey.
Yeah, awesome. Well, great stuff on X. Really like following you. So thank you for having
Appreciate
us
it.
out there in the Lightning X community. We will be back next week, and I say we, but not me. Thomas Schooley is going to take the reins next week, so he will be back on Wednesday night, and I will be back 2 weeks from now, and then we'll be on the push to the playoffs. We'll have less than a month left until the playoffs at that point. So until then, this has been We the Thunder. Don't forget to be the Thunder.
That's it. On up. It's time. Get on up. It's time. You say what's the time for? It's time for Shooter and who? Shooter and Schoolie. It's We the Thunder. We're talking